The Women's Business Center of Richmond would like you to join us for our weekly Winning with WOW radio broadcast, hosted by yours truly, DrDanni, on ESPN Richmond 106.1 FM. Each segment features a woman boss who shares aspects of her entrepreneurial journey, designed to enlighten, uplift, and inspire. If you have business ownership aspirations, let us help. We can be reached at the WBC Richmond on our socials or thewbcrichmond.org, or you can call us at 804-525-9499. Well, good morning, and thank you for joining Winning with WOW. I am your host, DrDanni. I'm with the Women's Business Center of Richmond. Today, we are running our clinic, and we're excited to be in the presence of such greatness from the Latino community. We have with us Natasha Lemus. You've just put on a grand event over at the for the Latin Business Expo in the greater Richmond area. And in a moment, I want you to tell us about yourself, your event, your business, your nonprofit. We're going to get all into that today. Just wanted to remind you that each week we come to you direct from ESPN Studios 106.1 FM, ESPN Richmond. And again, I would like you, Natasha, to think about this. If our listeners and our viewers only have 5 minutes that they're going to partake in this exchange today, what would you want them to walk away with?
An understanding of what it is to be a Latina business owner, what it has taken to work with the Latin community, and as a nonprofit with 2 years walking in with the midst of COVID, understanding what it is to serve the Hispanic immigrant community in RVA.
Excellent. I think that when I personally think about it at the Women's Business Center of Richmond, we have sought to engage more directly with the Latinx community, with the business community, and I am excited to make this connection. If you didn't know, I'm gleefully excited. And Kelly is in the area, right, you know, from Anchor in Leadership, and we'll talk to her in the future shows. But talk to us, Natasha. You just, during Hispanic Heritage Month, you pulled off something with, I'm sure you had other people supporting you, that hadn't been done in the RVA area before. Talk to us a little bit about what that was.
So September 24th, we did the first in RVA Latin Business Expo. It was a team idea. After COVID, we noticed that the Latino community had a very hard time, especially minority-owned businesses, to get back up, to network, to come together. So I thought it was very unique to post and host and get sponsorships and get other businesses that are at a higher level that are able to move on, corporate entities to support minority businesses. So we got 75 exhibitors to register from different businesses that were literally coming from home, that had to close their doors after COVID and come back and work from home, or even have their own stores and just having a hard time. Like, they don't know how to network. They don't know how to share contacts. They don't know anything. So we made this happen, and it was an incredible event. We did cultural to represent the Latino community. We had dances, we had what is called business, we called it emprendedores de éxito, entrepreneurs with success, to tell their story, because as business owner, it's very important for us to tell our story. We all have somewhere where we come from, and people need to know our sacrifice, the challenges, and everything we have gone through. And it was very unique to have this Latin speaker speak, but not only just in this business expo, but in their native language.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, I when I think about that, my daughter, you know, a couple of months ago, just came back from playing basketball in Durango, Mexico. Shout out to the Lady Durangos. And when we went over there, and my Spanish, I can hear a little bit and know, but I can't speak. I speak French a little bit, but her development of her language while she was there for those 4 months was awesome. And I agree with you. When people have an experience and an encounter with people with a deep, rich culture, they shouldn't just walk away transactionally with whatever it is that they were looking for. They should learn something. And so I have a great appreciation, not only for the Latin community, but also the African-American community. When we have things, we bring our culture in, and that's part of who we are. That's in the love that we do. If we're bakers, if we, you know, have a restaurant, if we're making items that are for sale, our culture creeps in there. And I think that that's important in this country, where oftentimes we don't realize that immigrants is on the backs of which this country was built. So I'm excited for that. But you're not just an organizer, and I'm gonna put a pin in it, but I'm gonna come back to it. The fact that you've done this give it some legs. And I'm sure you're thinking about that, because those businesses have opportunities to take advantage of relationships that beyond just that event. When you talk about, opportunities to network and to connect, I can't always close the gap when it comes to the in their native language standpoint. But the Women's Business Center of Richmond has phenomenal training and opportunities and classes and cohorts. We also have a lot of networking events. We have a conference we have in April of each year. We're getting ready for a summit that's going to be phenomenal. And we have access to people who can do our content in Spanish. And so we want to be a resource for the Latinx community. And with your help and with Oscar's help, and people get the word out, we are here to support your businesses when it comes to getting ready to put in applications for loans or grants or things like that. We are partially funded by the SBA. And so that opens the door to make sure you get what you need. We also have 3 other women's business centers that we are directly affiliated with. And our friends down at WBC North Carolina, they have courses in Spanish only, and they have something called Business Spanish. And so that is designed to help Spanish speakers understand how to put together responses to quotes and contracts that they get asked of. So we are a resource here for your community. But tell me a little bit about your own business, your own entrepreneurial journey.
So I'm in the tax field in accounting. I started this back 15 years ago. It honestly all started as something very simple, like any small mom and pop's business with a laptop going around. We noticed in Richmond, there was a huge barrier with the Latino community, and it's the language. It's speaking, maneuvering, simple things, just searching stuff online, even for businesses or personal stuff as resources for the community. And we started like that until we started building a trust within the Hispanic community, because that's one thing too. There's not enough trust. They don't know where to go to for whatever reason it is. They're afraid or have that stigma of providing additional information about their personal life, about their businesses, how they're running it, they're doing it wrong, they're doing it right. So I started pretty much taking myself leadership and training and certification to be able to come back and educate the community that that I love to serve. That's in my DNA as as being Hispanic and just being diverse within the culture, because the Hispanic community is more than one. It's very diverse. So I've been doing this for 15 years. Our office is we're multicultural, so we do serve obviously Hispanics and non-Hispanics. We welcome all businesses, and we do small business and individual, from taxes to full accounting services.
That's good. I have a meeting coming up. I think it might be later today with someone who is talking about, do I do an LLC, do an S Corp, do I do this? And some of the literature that I pulled out talked about, you need to talk to your CPA at what's the best point from going maybe from an LLC when your revenues are under $50,000 to when you start to get to $60,000 and $100,000, you might want to be that S Corp. So it's exciting that also we have a need to have a relationship with someone in your area of expertise, because our businesses, a lot of times they don't know that they need a tax firm until it's too late, or they're trying to get their books together so that they can, apply for this grant or apply for this loan. And if they start with you from the ground up, they'll have those things in place. So great resource.
It's an educational piece. They don't know. Sometimes they open up a business, have no idea. They go online doing themselves. And then when they start getting into the financial piece, into applying for a loan, like you mentioned, or purchasing a home or anything, then they notice that they got everything wrong and their books are not right, even to file their taxes, balance sheets and stuff like that. And that's when we come back in and just go back and retro and educate from scratch.
So would you be willing to do a webinar or two on our platform, and especially do it in Spanish, so that just a general, you're looking at me like,
yeah.
So look, tell her,
we'll
Kelly,
yes.
We put you on.
Kelly's like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's another way of helping people to know what they don't know, because again, a lot of, like you said before, if there's a report that has been done, I want to say by the Brookings Institute, where they talk about the connections, the social network and relationships that African Americans and Hispanics have versus our white counterparts. And they say that if you ask typically an African American business person, how many accountants do you know in terms of business that runs a business like yours? They might have one or two. But if you ask their white counterpart, they have 10 or 15. And that network is so important to be able to know more so that you can get to what you actually need, because some accountants focus on different things. But if you only know two, you might not know someone whose area of expertise is what you're calling for. So we want to put you out there in all communities, as you say, Hispanic, non-Hispanic, and I lend that as an opportunity. You hear that, Shara G? We got someone who's going to do some programming for us in Spanish.
Yes, yes. I always tell the community, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So we're going to start networking. We're going to teach Spanish businesses how to network. They see it, but they have not lived it. They lived the first one with this business expo. And we have leads and we have people that are already reaching out to continue. So as when we first made contact, I was like, yes, it's going to help out a lot.
Excellent, excellent. And what's the name of your business, and how do people get in contact with you for your accounting expertise?
It's Latin Tax Service. We are at 7122 Hall Street Road in Richmond, Virginia, 23235. And the phone number is 804-396-9257.
And if you need that information, just reach out to us, the Women's Business Center of Richmond. Our telephone number is 804-525-9499. Now tell me, you also have a nonprofit.
Yes.
So this is, multi-dimensional Latinx woman doing the thing. You the boss. Yeah. Talk to me about your nonprofit.
So WayMakers Foundation is a passion. It's a deep passion. It's something that I love. In the midst of COVID, I still remember March of 2020, due to the tax office, we had a lot of clients called in trying to navigate the resource of unemployment. And they did not understand how to qualify, what to do. So instead of doing taxes, because no one was really coming out, we were in shutdown, we started focusing on the resources that were available. But we also noticed that we could not get through. There was not enough Hispanic representation in agencies to help out. Correct. The lines were full. It was a lot going on. So my office opened up for all kinds of resources. And then it hit one point where families were reaching out for resources of food from business owners that I knew their finance. I knew that at one point they were well, to not being able to work, not being able to do anything. So we started what it was, a distribution of cultural food bank distribution, because one thing that it came back when I said, hey, there's churches giving out food, there's people doing great work out there. They said, but it's not what we're accustomed to eating. And we've been home for 15, 20 days. My husband got sick. We can't get out. I don't drive. I have the kids. And they started asking for simple things to make home remedy teas, ginger, red onions to boil with limes and all these other herbs. And I'm like, well, that's a very simple thing to go get, but we're not going to find that at a church. We're not going to find that at a pantry. We need to go to a market, a home, an Asian market, and a African market. We have to go somewhere else. This is not going to find something at Kroger. It's not 100% always going to be there. So I spoke to my team at the office and I said, hey, let's come and do something. Let's do a food drive. Let's give back to the community. Well, it started with 100 families that just showed up for food, and we had anything from carrots, vegetables to make a soup, dried beans, dried corn flour, everything that is accustomed to the diversity of the Latino immigrant community. Well, we became what is now WayMakers Foundation with 2.5 years, serving about now 1,500 families a month, providing cultural sensitive food. We are the only food bank in Richmond, Virginia, serving cultural appropriate food to the Hispanic immigrant community. So it has been great support from many. We still continue to ask for support to help us, because it's a demand, very high demand, and a gap that no one else has covered. And we are the only one right now covering that gap with different resources. We are not able to provide even clothing for women, and we do provide business clothing attire thanks to CHASM. We also do basic household needs when it comes to just simple staples, someone who is going through domestic violence and just is moving to a new apartment or doing anything. So we listen to what the community needs, that they've been having a hard time getting that resources, and we are the language. We make sure we're the bridge. There's no language barrier. So we connect with everyone out who has the resources. We don't do everything ourselves. We do take the food programs and other incentive programs that we do, like science, art nights, things where the community can get out of their home and bond.
Yeah. Well, shout out to you and WayMakers. That's the kind of thing, communities coming together that matter. But we want to, put that out there. There are those out there who would like to contribute to the WayMakers effort. You can reach out to Natasha you could reach out to the Women's Business Center and we'll direct you to Natasha. As you said, they're the only food bank in the greater Richmond area that is providing culturally sensitive food opportunities for people in the Latin community. And we want to support that as much as we can. Mike King, shout out to the great Mike King, always talks about how business help makes community better. And to me, I think this is an excellent example of business making community. You started with a business interest, and then you saw that there was a need. And just like it says in the Bible, meet the need, and then you can get back to those other things, but you can't see a need and not meet it. So the Women's Business Center of Richmond is excited about all of the opportunities we have to interview business owners on our media broadcast. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back at you.
Mike King Biz here with On the Mic with Mike, the best business radio program around. I'm here with my good friend DrDanni of the world famous Women's Business Resource Center. We hear you guys have something exciting coming up.
The Women's Business Center of Richmond is preparing for our annual Women on Wealth Summit, taking place November 4th on the historic campus of Virginia Union University. You will not want to miss this event. Women on Wealth. That's womanliness, entrepreneurship, affiliations, leadership, tenacity, and health. For more information, check us out on our socials at the WBC Richmond. And we're back with Natasha. So Natasha, I want you to help our listeners know how you can take something from the grassroots where there had not been a Latin Business Expo in this area and walk us through the process that you went through to not only attract the business, but identify the location, to get the word out and things of that nature. Get your speaker, talk about the whole process. How long did it take you to pull this all together?
It took about, I'll say 2 months and a half in action.
Okay.
That's how long it took. The initiative came January of this year. We said we have to invest in something. And then we came back and just came with a conclusion. We have to invest in businesses. I could have taken in and invested in marketing for the office or anything else, but we noticed that the businesses were having a hard time getting back. As someone who's doing business consultations almost every day with 3 to 4 businesses and hearing their barriers and hearing what they need and everything like that, I said, you guys need to come in together. You guys need to network. And sometimes I'll cross business cards. Have you spoken to this person? This person can help you with a contract. He has more jobs than he needs. Have you seen if you guys can sub work? Have you spoken to this lady who does decoration? This one does cakes. And they're like, no, we haven't, or they don't answer, or maybe you need to do the connection for me. So I was like, okay, well, let's pick a location. And we started mapping out churches, areas where we can do. And then we came up with Liberation Church.
Okay.
Liberation Church, why in the city of Richmond, they had the space, they had everything to accommodate. I thought of just the whole COVID and the whole social, the well-being that we have right now with health. And I was like, well, rain or shine, we can make this happen inside. And they had everything. They had every expectation that I could see as I visited expos myself, for the whole professional production team to sitting to pretty much anything logistically the location had. So I definitely recommend Liberation Church for.
All right. Shout out. Who was your contact over
Peggy.
There? Shout out to Peggy. Thank you guys for making it happen. They're on Whole Street or?
They're on 5501 Midlothian.
Midlothian. Okay. Down the street from us.
Yes.
Okay.
So we had our events there. It was pretty, I would say it was pretty easy. I'm very known within the Hispanic community. So the first thing I did was pretty much speak to some business owners, and I mapped out 5. I also spoke to some corporate entities, thanks to WayMakers, Dominion Energy, Tourists, Chicken Fiesta, State Farm, Nutrition, Totally New You, different businesses. I said, hey, we need this. And they're like, yes, I am with you. I had a hard time getting myself up, but thankfully I am in a good position. And they pitched in. I made sponsor packages. At the end of the day, all the vending, all the sponsorships, all the exhibitors' fees that were paid, any profits that was left went to WayMakers Foundation as well.
Okay.
So they were very happy to be able to help minority business and know that anything that was left over was going to help the community. So when we did this, we registered 75 vendors. We had to stop registration. We had a higher demand. And I was no, let me handle this. My first time doing it. We are only a team of 3. And with the volunteers of WayMakers, and everything just ran smoothly because everyone was eager. So when you are eager for something, when you are hungry to know more. When you really want people to know about your business, it flows naturally.
Yeah.
And the community, in the Hispanic community, never had this before. When they said, what's an expo? People will call me, what is an expo? I had to sit, like babysit, that this is what it is. I don't have business cards. I don't have this. What can I do? It was a cleaning lady. I said, look, bring a tablecloth. Then I noticed nobody had tablecloths. No one had logo. No one had marketing. I said, okay. So then I started thinking, I need a marketing person. I need a video contact person. I started seeing what large business that was willing to outreach and help the Latino community and understand barriers of language and understanding and an educational piece, because there's a lot of business owners out there that have businesses, but there is lack of education just because where they're coming from, but they're still hardworking and made it happen. So I mapped out businesses that could help and that were willing to open their doors and network and talk to them. And then all these other small businesses all around, from artists that paint from home, to people who had craft. And then we did what we hear families say, we need employment. We heard a lot of agencies state that they could not find employees. And then we hear people that couldn't find work. So we did also a job fair, a resource fair. And all that came into place pretty quickly because everyone needed from someone. They just said, we don't speak Spanish though. How can we join? I said, don't worry. WayMakers will help out. So WayMakers had 24 volunteers, bilingual, that literally stood in there and make sure that they can translate, help, and the whole logistic just ran fine. So you did not need to know English or speak English to be able to attend the Latin Business Expo. And we got great feedback.
It sounds wonderful. I know that the 2023 version is going to be on steroids because I'm just sitting here chomping at the bit. I would love to be involved, love to help. Again, there are other resource partners that probably are in the same situation I am. We want to help, but we don't necessarily have the connection. What I like about what you're doing as a business owner and as a nonprofit owner is that you're in that gap. You're connecting the people who need to know things with people who know things.
Yes.
And that is, to be light shine on. So now I like to dial it back a little bit, Natasha. Before you became Natasha, the accountant expert, the Latin tax, the, Latin Expo, little Natasha, tell us a little bit about what brought you up to have such a strong and a committed regard for not only education, but serving your community, because that genesis, there are people who are out there who probably look at themselves and don't necessarily think about being a business owner right off, or they think, oh, well, that's for somebody else. Or there's someone who's in business who is having a hard time. They're thinking about throwing up both hands. And we like in this particular segment that we talk about bossing up for our business owners to share those difficult things or the things that help shape them or the things that help encourage them to be tenacious and stay at it. Can you talk about that?
I'm a believer, and I believe that I have been blessed since birth. I have always had food in my table. I always have clothes on. And my parents have always taught me, and grandparents and any mentor that has ever spoken to me in rough times and good times have said, when you are at a spot where you can help and you see a need or you see something that needs to be connected, don't just watch, make it happen. And in different versions of saying that, that just carried on with me through life since childhood. If a friend was crying for a candy and I had it, I would pass on the candy. And then that just moved me through school, and that it's in my DNA. I see it. I just try not to conflict. I don't believe that in business or in life there should be any kind of greed. God is not that. God is love. And I just carry that with me. So no matter where I go, it's my job to connect. No matter what I see, it's my job to put things in together. I just think that just as naturally flows in me. Like there's no way for me to say, it's just like a natural feeling. Like I see it, I make it happen. Even if I don't know the language, when I see somebody hesitating to say something, I'm like, what country are you from? I literally take my Google app and I start translating, and then we start communicating. People just laugh, because like, you're still making it happen. I was like, well, we have so many tools, let's use them.
Yes.
Why are we going to hold someone up for this?
I know I have people, sometimes they'll ask a question of this. I'll ask them something they don't know. And I'm like, listen, you got a smartphone, get smart. Yes. I mean, you can use it to almost do anything. But one of the things that I really liked about what you said about the Latin community is still very diverse. And for me, and I guess I shouldn't even admit this, but I wasn't necessarily sure. I don't know what I thought it was, but I didn't know that the Dominican Republic fell into that. So can you talk to us when we hear Latinos, Latinx, Hispanic, can you talk to us about the different regions that we're really talking about? Can you share a little bit
So
of insight?
there's South America, there's Central America, there's the Caribbean side. We all speak the same language, not exactly the same.
Okay.
So the Spanish is not always the same when we speak. We can come in obviously and understand each other because in the basic terms, but we're all different. We all eat differently. We all see the culture different. But so when we come in, it's a big exposure of differences. It's a big exposure of differences, and we have to come in and pretty much and join in. I got that chance to study that. So I come from Dominican Republic, as mentioned. So I'm coming from an island. So culturally based, we're always on the go. We're always ready. We have this within us that we find a way for everything.
Mhm.
And one thing that I noticed, let's say I marry someone from Honduras and El Salvador, and when I started dating him and I started seeing his family, somebody will say something to them and they'll step back. You know, they're like, and Dominicans are more like go-getters. They just have something that if something's not right, they defend and they go out. And then I noticed that in the cultures in different areas, some are just more quiet, more stay back. They don't speak out, you know? So I just learned the diversity of almost in every area and communicating with different clients, of understanding their cultures and understanding more of their country. And I still have way more to learn, but I took everything I knew and put it in together to be able to work with the community as I do now.
Yeah, so what I keep hearing, maybe not said, but coming through in your words is that you have a willingness and a desire to make it happen.
Yes.
And so if you come at something, no matter how challenging, if you have the right attitude, you can get it done. This has been a delightful exchange. I am sure that you'll be back with us again. Talk to us, Natasha, and tell our viewers one more time how they can get in contact with you.
So my name again, Natasha Lemus. My direct phone number is 804-475-1715. Latin Tax Service is located at 7122 Hall Street Road, Richmond, Virginia, 23235. WayMakers Foundation, it's located at 7106 Hall Street Road in the same shopping center as Latin Tax. And if anybody wants to help out or be a volunteer or be a part of our mission and vision, feel free to give us a call at 804-920-0059.
Yes, we have on November the 4th, the Women's Business Center of Richmond will be hosting our annual Women on Wealth. That is womanliness, entrepreneurship, affiliation, leadership, tenacity, and health. We have a unique format where we take advantage of the intellectual capital that's in the room. So if you come to this summit, you will be in position not only to gain and grow, but to also contribute and share. So we look forward to you on November the 4th on the campus of Virginia Union University. You can find out more details about it on all of our socials at thewbcrichmond.org. And this has been another episode of the Winning with WOW media broadcast for the Women's Business Center of Richmond. I am DrDanni. We are here with you each Wednesday at 5:30 a.m. on 106.1 FM. Have a great day.